Welcome everybody, and this is another episode of FPL Chit Chat. And today we're going to be talking about midfielders. So there's a lot of midfielders we can look at, but we're going to try and look at the key ones and maybe even a couple of bargains. So let's see how we go. Straight into the premium midfielders. For me, I think there's two you can have, or at least one of the two, as set and forgets. Put them in there, could be your captains most weeks, and have them from start to finish. And I think the first one to talk about is Bruno Fernandes. I think now, if you're not a United fan, you're probably hoping he was going to fall away, right? He had a really good start, and you was probably hoping it was going to be a bit of a fluke, but I think he's shown now he's the real deal. He's taken to the league very well. He keeps producing numbers, assists and goals. I think it's going to be more of a settled side around him now. You could even say, will he get a bit more rest this season? But I think Ollie just loves to play him. I think he's just got to play most games. I think with Sancho coming in, Sancho will score an assist, but I don't think that's really going to affect Bruno's numbers. If anything, it may enhance them, because everything good that Man United do, it comes through Bruno. And on top of the fact he's the penalty taker. So for me, I think he could be the main pick this season. The other guy that I think you can have as a set and forget is Mo Salah. I think I don't know how intense these rumours were, but if he was thinking of going or not going, I think if they were looking at abroad, there was Madrid, and it was not just him, it was Mane as well, right? Madrid, Barcelona, they're not financially capable at the moment, so if these boys want to not have a season like they had last year and get back to winning ways, it's going to be at Liverpool, in the squad they're in, and I'm sure the whole team will want to push on and be challenging within the top two for the league again, Champions League, etc., etc. But obviously we're looking at the Premier League. Salah, always in contention for Golden Boot, also on penalties. Will assist a lot. I think the dynamic of Jota being in, I don't think it's a front three this year. I might be wrong, but I'm putting it out there. I think that all four are going to play this year, or at least some of the games, which I think makes them more explosive, more options for assists or being assists. I think Salah will have good numbers again this season. So he's a definite set and forget for me, and probably the opening captain for the weekend. The next one to look at is Sterling. Probably didn't have his best season last season. Is he going to start the season? He's probably not long back from the Euros. Not having a striker, would he play down the middle, etc., etc. With Pep and City, it's all big guessing game, right? But again, he's someone who you'd think will be very hungry, will want better numbers than what he got last season. Me personally, probably wait and have a look at that to see what's happening at City before you chuck him in, because I do think the previous two I've mentioned, if you're going to spend the money, we'll probably go on them. Which brings us on the KDB. Now, he's one in the City team, you'd say he plays most games, right? If not all. If he's fit, he plays. If he's fit, he's assisting and chipping in with the odd goal. The thing with KDB now is, when's he back? Will he be there the opening weekend? But again, he'd be in most people's teams, I think. Once he's there and he's playing, I can see a lot of people bringing him in. So KDB's definitely one to look at, because he's the assist king, probably the best player in the league, arguably. some people may say different, but I think he's probably the best player in the league. Another one to look at, Sonny has probably finally had a bit of time off, and he had a full pre-season, and what a pre-season he's had numbers-wise. I believe he's going to start on fire this season, to be fair, so I would not knock anybody for having Sonny in. His price has gone up to 10 mil as a starting price this season as well, which you'd probably think it would have been a lot higher probably a good few seasons ago, to be honest. A lot of assists last year, a lot of goals. Sonny will always be in amongst it. Will his role change with or without Kane? What's going to happen there? Is Kane going to be there at the start of the season? Who knows? But I think Sonny's more than capable of producing goals with or without Kane, in my opinion, as the pre-season showed. I know it's only pre-season, but I think Sonny will be there or thereabouts. And you'd probably say, oh, he might not have a good start against City, but City push up high, so Sonny can get him behind. So I think it's going to be an interesting opening game for City and Spurs, to be honest. So Sonny's definitely one to look at also. The last one on the Premier list, same as Salah, we're looking at Mane. Numbers not as good as previous seasons. Last season, I think he'll look to want to kick on again. If he's fit, I think he's definitely going to be in the starting team. I think Klopp and Liverpool looking at Salah and Mane to pick it up again. So yeah, Mane's a good option, but again, you always have this thing, right? One or the other, him or Salah, I think, and you know Salah's on penalties. But differential option off the bat if you want to go for Mane, and we all know Mane is capable of scoring and assisting as much as Salah is, so be interesting to see how he starts the season as well. So there are your premium picks. We can now move on to looking at your middle ground, and I'm going to start off with Grealish. He's like the poster boy at the minute, and he's like the national hero. Everybody's looking at him, really good player, decent numbers for Villa. You'd think the numbers are going to get better at City because there's a lot more clinical players in the City team, a lot more chances created, more possession of the ball. I'm sure he's just going to be free to play the way he wants to play under Pep. You'd think he's probably going to start the season. I think that might have been a question mark at first, but I think Pep's going to chuck him straight in. You've just spent £100 million on him. I think the City squad are probably behind in preparation, to be honest, but I don't think they're going to muck about and starting Grealish. So yeah, I think it's a really good pick, but are City missing a few too many other than him, where his impact's not going to be as big at the start? Foden's out. Sterling don't seem to be ready to start the season. De Bruyne's out. You might question the striker because obviously Jesus was at the Copa America, don't forget, so he's not been around yet. So there's a lot of players missing for City at the moment. So I'm not sure Grealish is one to start with, but I'm sure everybody will have their eyes on him, ready to bring in. Moving on to two of my personal favourites from the same team. We're looking at Leeds now. Rafinha, really good player, ain't he? Really good player. I can see him moving on after a couple of seasons. I think maybe one more good season. I think teams will be looking at him. Had a couple of injuries last year, so he didn't have a lot of minutes, but always played when pretty much fit. He'll have goals and assists. And he's a really good option because Leeds are a forward-thinking team. So Rafinha's one I really like. And one guy I had in from the start last year and kept him almost all the way throughout was Harrison. I think he has just as good as impact. I think he's a really good crosser of the ball. He scored a couple of goals and chipped in with assists. So I really like Harrison, and I think Harrison will continue playing in the starting spot. He seems to be going from strength to strength, actually, really improving each season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him play, possibly thinking about having him in the team again. So there's the two leagues, boys. Right, on to Arsenal again. Now, I know I mentioned Ben White. I questioned having him because of the defensively. But if you're going to have any player from Arsenal, for me, it will be Saka. Saka or Tierney, but Tierney, I know I didn't mention in the defensive video, but again, you look at the clean sheets with Tierney, right? So then you're looking for the attacking output. So that's a 50-50 one. But for me, if you're going to have anybody from Arsenal, it's Saka. Anything good that Arsenal do come through this kid. It's always through Saka. And I think off the back of the Euros, he should be very happy with what he's done, and he should be very confident to get in the penalty. I think this kid's only going to get better and better, in my opinion, and he'll be the real star and the standout player, I think, for Arsenal. So for attacking threats for Arsenal, I think you're definitely looking at Saka. So anybody fancying Arsenal, look at Saka. The last couple in this section, so moving on, I think we got Ben Douia, who's moved into Villa from Norwich. Very good player, young player, expresses himself well. Good stats for Norwich last year. Looking to take the fill the void that Grealish has left. But I think it'll be a more of attacking side from Villa this season. He'll obviously have license to do what he wants to do, the way Grealish did. But I think the big difference here is Villa's just signed Danny Ings. And Danny Ings is a lot more clinical than a Watkins. And that was what Grealish was getting his numbers from last season, right? With the Watkins of the world in the teams. When Douia's come in, if he can play to his level and improve at the same time and produce good goal scoring chances, and you've got Danny Ings on the end of them, his numbers can be just as good. And Villa's opening set of fixtures are decent as well, so he could be well one to look at, to be fair. I definitely wouldn't be looking past him. Again, it's how you want to set things up and budget your money, but he's definitely one to look at. Right, last one in the middle section. For me, I'm probably tell you now, I'm probably going to pick this guy. For me, he looks fresh, he's firing, he looks hungry. He's got over his injury from the back end of last year. For me, it's Harvey Barnes. He's very direct. I think his numbers will get better than what they have been. I think he's another lad that's going to keep improving. I really like Harvey Barnes. I really like Leicester. The team shape changed last season when he was out. I think it will revert back now he's back in. I think Brendan Rodgers will look to have him playing again and starting most games, which could, for a side note, which could mean keep an eye on who's playing up front for Leicester, because I think a few people are looking at Ian that show, and unfortunately for him, he may find himself back on the wings again, on the sidelines. So, because I really think Harvey Barnes is the sort of player that Brendan Rodgers likes as well, very direct, and I'd be looking at him, and I'm probably going to have him myself, for sure. Couple of side ones. I've gone into the cheaper section, trying to look for a couple of little options. I know people are going to be looking at cheaper options because depending how you're going to budget your money, etc. So right down at the bottom, I'm just going to have a little mention, right? Because if you ain't realised, I'm a Chelsea fan. Billy Gilmour at Norwich. I think he can have a great year. I think he'll play really well. Good for him to get minutes. unfortunately for him, in terms of FPL points, I don't think he's going to really translate. He'll probably be the assist of the assister, right? The pre-assist, as they like to call it now. So it's good as it is to have him in there, and he will play point. He will get points. So if you want him just as a bench man, he'll pick up the 2 points if nothing more. But unfortunately, I don't think you'll get the FPL points. But maybe his teammate in Cantwell might be worth looking at. I think a lot of teams sniffing around him. I think they want to prize him away from Norwich, but I think for him personally, good to have another year in the Premier League and maybe look at the situation whether they stay up or go down at the end of the season for Cantwell. But maybe he'll be the one that can get a couple of goals and make some assists and tee up Pookie. He might be worth looking at. The last two, I've got Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he will start the season because Reece James is late back in, and I see Aspie going back into the right side of the three at the back. So there's a good chance Odoi could start the season at right wing back, and he's very attacking, very direct, and there's a good chance he might pop up with a couple of assists early doors. So he's worth looking at. And then the last one, just going off pre-season, Ryan Fraser looks pretty fresh and sharp again. And if you need a fill in a spot and you like looks at Newcastle starting fixtures, which are quite kind, he might be the guy who's going to be setting up Callum Wilson up top. So yeah, Fraser's an interesting one to look at as well, for sure, for anybody wants to have a little cheeky gamble on that. But as midfield section goes, I think we could have gone on and spoke about a lot of other players, but I think they're your main bunch, your nice little middle bracket, and a couple of four little cheaper options as well that might be make your team look a little bit stronger in case someone don't play or later down the line someone gets injured or suspended. These guys can come in off your bench. So hopefully that helps. We'll see you next time when we talk about our strikers. So thank you, and this is FPL Chit Chat.